Ever wonder how an empire could maintain control over vast territories, fueled by an army that faced impossible odds time and time again? It wasn't just brute force. It was a profound understanding of human psychology. This video will explore the ingenious, sometimes chilling psychological principles that allowed Rome to build and maintain its colossal empire through the art of war. Imagine this. You're standing in formation, shield in hand, sweat dripping down your back. Across the field, thousands of screaming barbarians are charging. Every part of you wants to run, but you don't, because if you do, Rome will kill you first. That's how Rome operated. This wasn't an army of volunteers fueled by patriotism alone. It was an army chained by discipline so brutal, modern militaries would call it inhumane. Mess up in battle? You're flogged until your back is raw. Disobey a command? Executed. If an entire unit showed cowardice, the punishment was decimation. Every 10th man executed, randomly chosen by his own comrades. Imagine drawing lots, watching your brothers stab you to death, not because of what you did, but because of what the group failed to do. That's not discipline. That's psychological torture. And it worked, because fear made sure that no Roman soldier ever forgot. The most dangerous enemy wasn't he out there. It was Rome itself. And when fear is stronger than death, you don't run. You fight. But here's the genius. Fear alone breaks men. You can't just terrify soldiers forever. Rome knew this. So they added something else to the recipe. Brotherhood. Every legionary belonged to a contubernium. 8 men who lived, ate, marched, and bled together. 1 tent, 1 pot of food, 1 life. It wasn't just about military efficiency. It was psychological hacking. Humans are wired for tribes. Rome weaponized that instinct. When the battle started, you weren't fighting for Rome or for some senator sipping wine in the forum. You fought for Marcus, the guy who shared his last piece of bread with you. You fought for Lucius, the guy who pulled you up when you fell in the mud. If you ran, you weren't betraying an empire. You were betraying your brothers. That's a deeper chain than iron. That's loyalty written into your heart. And commanders knew how to play it. Julius Caesar, the ultimate master of psychology, didn't give boring speeches about glory. He reminded soldiers of their shared suffering, their shared victories. He turned personal loyalty into a weapon sharper than any sword. And his men? They would follow him into hell itself. Now, let's step off the battlefield and into Rome itself. Rome didn't just win wars with swords. It won wars with stories, with symbols, with propaganda. The Aquila, the eagle standard, wasn't just a shiny pole. It was the soul of the legion. Lose it, and you lost your honor. Men died in rivers, in burning forests, in swamps, throwing themselves onto enemy spears just to drag that eagle back. Then there was SPQR, the Senate and People of Rome. Those 4 letters were everywhere, on banners, shields, monuments. Constant reminders that Rome wasn't just a government. It was you. It was all of us. But the real psychological theater? The Colosseum. 50,000 people screaming as gladiators tore each other apart. To the audience, it was fun. Bread and circuses. To Rome, it was a lesson. You want blood? We'll give it to you. You want chaos? We'll control it. Rome turned violence into entertainment, teaching citizens that order belongs to the empire, and rebellion only ends in death. And don't forget the triumphal parades. Victorious generals rode golden chariots through the streets, while chained enemies stumbled behind them. Citizens saw their leaders not just as men, but as gods walking among mortals. Propaganda wasn't posters or TV ads. It was living theater. And Rome made sure the audience never forgot the script. Here's the thing. Fear gets you obedience. Brotherhood keeps you fighting. Propaganda inspires belief. But to really drive men forward, you need rewards. And Rome knew exactly how to dangle the carrot. Serve long enough, and you didn't just get paid. You could get land, a pension, citizenship for your family. To a poor farmer from Gaul or Spain, that wasn't just a job. That was a golden ticket into the Roman world. And Augustus, Rome's first emperor, took it to the next level. Retired soldiers got land in conquered territories. Settling veterans wasn't just a reward. It was colonization. Rome expanded not just with legions, but with families, farms, and futures. And beyond money, there was immortality. Statues, inscriptions, your name carved into stone. Romans believed glory outlived death. Fight bravely, and history would remember you. Modern psychology calls this intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Rome blended both perfectly. Soldiers fought for wealth, yes, but also for something far more addictive, the chance to live forever in Rome's memory. But here is the part that really shows Rome's brilliance. They didn't just use psychology on their own soldiers. They used it on their enemies. Take Caesar at the siege of Alesia. Outnumbered, surrounded. What does he do? Builds two walls. One facing in to starve the Gauls inside. One facing out to block reinforcements. That's not just strategy. That's psychological strangulation. To the Gauls trapped inside, the walls screamed, "You're prisoners." To those outside, they shouted, "You're too weak to break us." Or look at Rome's roads. They weren't just highways. They were messages carved into the earth. We're here. We're permanent. You can fight, but you can't erase us. Even their ships carried eyes painted on the bows. To superstitious enemies, it looked like divine forces were watching them. Creepy? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. And then there was the intimidation factor. Horns, drums, formations so perfect they looked inhuman. Imagine being a tribal warrior, screaming your lungs out, and then seeing a wall of shields move forward in dead silence, step after step, unstoppable. Rome crushed not just bodies. They crushed spirits. So, what's the takeaway? Rome wasn't just an empire of stone and steel. It was an empire of psychology. They weaponized fear to control their soldiers. They built loyalty through brotherhood. They used propaganda to control the masses. They dangled rewards to inspire sacrifice. And they broke their enemies' minds long before swords ever clashed. 2,000 years later, we still see the echoes. Modern armies study Roman discipline. Governments use symbols, parades, and pageantry to inspire unity. Even our sports stadiums, giant arenas packed with chanting crowds, are psychological descendants of the Colosseum. Rome may have fallen. Its emperors turned to dust. Its legions vanished. But the psychology of Rome? That never died. Because Rome's greatest conquest wasn't land. It wasn't cities. It wasn't even people. Rome's greatest conquest was the human mind.